Hey y'all, I am Ray. Thank you for joining me on my YouTube channel at the POW Revolution. How y'all doing? So good to have you here. Thank you really, truly for all the likes, the subscribing, sharing, everything. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. So today, well, I really kind of been dragging my feet about coming on here and saying this word to you all because I have I got a lot to say, but also because I'm a little torn. And so God said, well, just tell him why you're torn, tell him what's going on with, how I feel and what I'm thinking. So I am sharing my voice. I am speaking my truth. Now, this is my truth. It doesn't mean that it must be your truth, but it's mine, and it's how I feel, and it's the way I perceive the situation, the way I think. Do I expect you to believe what I believe and how I believe it and the way I express it? No, but this is my truth, and I am speaking on it today, okay? So, looking at everything with the Black Lives Matter, and I have spoken out in agreement with speaking our truth, with, that all people, black, white, brown, purple, green, yellow, all people are equal in the sight of God. That He made all of us from His image, breathed from the Spirit of the living God. And that all of us, just like flowers, the beautiful trees in nature, all of us are blessed with different hues, different skin tones, tan lines, okay? Some have fairer complexion, some have darker complexion, some are in between. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you have a piece of paper, no matter what you color it, it's still a piece of paper. So a human being, no matter how majestically brown or iridescently pale, he decides to, or as golden black, black gold. I'm thinking about how brown and beautiful some complexions are, that when the sun hits it, it looks almost golden brown. I can't explain it, just dazzles the eye. But and then you have some people that are so pale in their complexion that when the sun hits it, they're like a luminous, almost moon color. Like they look like this shimmering moon in the sky. So beautiful. I mean, there's so many beautiful tones of white, of black, of brown. So many. It's like the most gorgeous painting. It's just rich and glorious. All the facets of who God is, that He could just dazzle us. I mean, you go outside, you look at the sun, the sunset, and the beautiful colors that enrich the sky, that dazzle us with the blues and that sparkle with the gold and the reds. It's amazing. Isn't that what makes a sunset or a sunrise so amazing, is all the spectacular colors? So why do you think that God would deprive us in humanity of creating His most glorious creation, mankind, without the dazzle of all the beautiful hues that He could paint, right? Why would God want to cheat us from the beauty of you? He wouldn't. So what is racism, really? It's not what you think it is. And that's a fact. Let me go back a little bit. Slavery. So there was the African slave trade. America profited greatly on it. But one day, slavery ended. Okay. And it was because all the white people felt so bad for enslaving other human beings and getting money off of them for free labor. They felt so bad. They knew that God said, oh, this was wrong, and they were shamed for it. They were shamed. And so they stopped. Right? Is that what you believe? It's not true. Slavery ended because of money. The North realized, okay, I'm getting a lot. God's downloading a lot to me, but the North, those in power and influence and wealth in the North realized that if they ended slavery, it would cripple the South of their economy, thus allowing the North to win the war. Because without financial backing for their soldiers, and without any kind of way to survive and maintain their farms and their livelihood, which was completely in every way founded on the backs of African people, the black people that are the descendants of these people today here in America right now, were founded on our backs, our ancestors' backs, that if they took them, then they'd have nothing. They wouldn't know what to do. They would lose all their wealth. They would lose all their standing. And therefore, the North would gain power over them. So it was financial. It wasn't because they loved black people so. And it wasn't because of the few whites that were abolitionists, along like was it John Smith, I think it was, along some of the Quakers, along with Frederick Douglass, Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, along with all of them, who were not only going back and freeing slaves, but were also civil rights campaignists that were fighting for the rights of humanity as a whole. Sojourner Truth was one that really fought not only against slavery, but also against, for the rights of women. So they, and one thing that God spoke to me and showed me that what our abolitionists did was actually teach the wealthy Northerners that without the labor force of slavery, that it would cripple the other side. So if we didn't have Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass and all of them going back into the South and the Underground Railroad and snatching all the blacks and bringing them to the North, they wouldn't have been able to see that this actually helped the North country grow and be more sustainable, at the same time crippling the South. So it was like, oh, money. Ding, 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 ding. Let's free all the blacks. So they used black people as a way to put money in their pockets by freeing them. And the Southerners use black people by keeping them enslaved to get free work. So both of them use black people to get money. So today we look at segregation, racism. Well, all of these really are forms of slavery because that's where it comes from. So we look at all of these things happening in our country. And the reason being is because being racist Don't hurt your pocketbook. Actually, keeping people fighting each other for the color of their skin actually empowers the wealthy. Look at it like this. While everyone's out there fighting and doing the Black Lives Matter rallies and the peaceful protests, which are wonderful because we need awareness, and people do need to apologize to us as a whole for the hell they put us through. Sure, we deserve that apology. We deserve it loud and strong. But where's our second stimulus check? Anybody talking about that? Or the amount of coronavirus patients increasing while they're out there doing the protests, which is more prevalent among the Black people, right? Nobody's talking about that. In fact, they're saying, oh, it's going down. Well, in some instances, when you gather together and you praise and worship, which a lot of protesters are doing, when they're together, they're worshiping, they're praising God. That actually, community worship actually increases your antibodies. It's a scientific fact. So for those people, there may be healing that occurs. But for the looters and the rioters and people, and it's a small amount, yes, in comparison. But for those people are going to get sick. So if you're going to protest, you better praise your way through that whole situation. Because for one, we wrestle against the spirit, principalities of darkness, not the flesh, not the color of our skin, not actual people, but the spirit behind that. The wealthy want to keep us perpetuating this, almost like being on a hamster wheel. You're just going around and around in circles. You white, you black, you white, you black, you Mexican, you Puerto Rican. You know, I like you, I don't like you. The stereotypes, the stigma, the fears, the greed, the prejudice. They want to keep us focused on that so they can keep making money off of us. Because that's all it is. It's a Game of Thrones. It's a war. So they manipulate and they orchestrate to keep us divided. Slavery time, the plantation owner, the government, the wealthy, the people that are influencing the whole land, which was the plantation, hired an overseer who was poor and white that would whip, beat, and torture the black slaves that were used like animals, but were actually the backbone of the plantation. The way that worked was the overseer was able to mentally control the minds of the slaves into thinking that they were weak. They had no value. They were unimportant. Keeping education from them so they would stay ignorant to the laws of the land, their rights as human beings, and not allowing them the information that they needed to say, maybe we can influence the other side of the country. Oh, wait, there is an other side of the country? There are other cities and states that don't do this? Because now I have education. Now I know. Now I have knowledge. Now I know my power. Now I know my value. Now I know my worth. And they were able to strategize, change by influencing even their own enemy. Because the white Northerners, a lot of them were racist too. But influencing my own enemy to use me as brokerage to free me. So those that had been enslaved and manipulated became the influencers. That, like a chess game, like a Game of Thrones, like a game of war, actually strategized and influenced the powers that be to think that they came up with another way to use them for their own benefit, when it was really benefiting themselves. Because that is how we were able to break free from slavery. White people did not set black people free. Black people set black people free strategically. Because we learned in slavery time that when we were in the house, see, especially us women, that we were in the house, we had power. They liked our cooking. We fed and nursed their babies. And those babies grew up and became masters that secretly still called us mama. We learned how to wield our influence quietly, in a way that made those in power feel like they were still in power. But really, they followed our bidding. Now we're out in the streets, we're screaming and we're yelling, we're saying, "You're a racist, stop it! Stop it now! Don't do that! You're bad! Shame on you, bad!" Is that going to change anything? Absolutely not. It's going to get all those people in the world who aren't racist, because believe it or not, there's a lot of white people. There's a lot of black people. There's a lot of Mexican people. There's a lot of all kind of people that aren't racist. And they're going to get them out there talking to each other, loving each other, being unified together. And we're going to feel like that really is something that really made a difference. When actually those people didn't need to be provoked to do that. That's something within their own hearts. Because they love God. Because they love people. And they're not prejudiced. Do you really think that the man that hates people, that is racist against them, for one, would even go down there? And then if he did, he probably is a little nuts. Just to be honest. Little screws probably a little loose. And there's a lot of those. But if they did go down there to spew hate, what's that going to change anything? It's not. We could scream and yell, we want this, we want that. That's not going to change anything. The only thing that's going to change anything is teaching and influencing the majority, the people that are in power, the people with money, that they will get more money by ending division within our country, by creating programs of diversity, by changing the entire structure or hierarchy of our entire nation, the entire system that our nation has been built on. Foundationally thrives on division. It thrives on keeping us separate. It thrives on racism, bigotry, inequality between men and women. Why? Because it profits. It makes bank. So we must devise strategy on how to influence people in a way that brings them equity from our value of peace. So, I don't know, maybe I didn't say that right, but how can I put it? You have a business. You own a business. What gives you... Okay, here's a great example. All right. I once worked for, well, I won't say the name, but I worked for an organization, a company, and they did very well. Let's see. How can I put it? The hierarchy was, there was the president, and there was a bunch of VPs, vice president, and then there was a manager, and then there were workers. Okay? And so the workers were set up between the customer service operation and the financial operation. And the customer service operation had to communicate constantly with the financial operation, and they had to work and flow together. The financial operation was looked at as being a little bit above the customer service organization, little, area. The financial people, they made more money. The customer service people made less money. However, customer service worked harder than the financial department. Customer service had to deal with angry, volatile, mentally unstable customers. They had to communicate information between doctors, psychiatrists, and the financial. So the customer service was the backbone of the entire organization. I was the senior customer service agent. And so, but one day, one of my customer service coworkers decided to eliminate me because she came in and she was related to someone higher up, and she wanted to be the one that everyone would go to for everything. She wanted to be the top dog. And at that time, people deferred to me, sometimes even over the manager, because I had been there longer and I had more experience with the different things that were going on in that with that department. Even my manager would ask me questions like how to do certain things initially. So she decided she was going to eliminate me. And so how did she do that? She went in with the financial department. They said a bunch of lies against me to instigate my department getting fired. So they got together to instigate me getting fired. She created division first between our departments, then pinholed the issue all around me, making me the issue, me the problem, and got rid of me. And so unfortunately, the VPs who completely were dependent on me keeping that department going, who didn't realize that I really was the unseen force behind the success of that department, who was the neck that turned the head of the managers there. When I was fired, the department fell apart. They began losing money because I was not just a star employee, but to the customers, I was valuable. So money plunged in that department. So if we could, using that as an example, if we could teach the country that division costs you money as opposed to making you money, then they'll be willing to invest into programs into the police department, into major corporations that will build up diversity, that will train people how to be emotionally, mentally equipped and strong to be accepting of other people. Because what racism and all that is just complete ignorance. It's really like stupidity, because there's no difference. I am 49% black, 49% white, and 2% who they don't know. So I am literally half and half, black and white. I am a black woman and I am a white woman. I can say that equally. I am what I am. And some people will have a problem with me saying I am black. Some people will have a problem with me saying I'm white. But I can literally say I am either one. It's my choice. Thanks to DNA, it is my choice. But I choose to say I am God's daughter. Because when you break it on down, it's not about the color of your skin. It's about the Spirit of God that's within you. We are made whole in flesh from the Spirit of the living God. He is who we are crafted from. Jesus Christ is who we are crafted from. His Spirit, His glory. We are His bride. Literally pulled from His side, pulled from His body. Why do you think He says that we are the body? And so that's all of us in all our myriad colors and forms. And being that I am, biracial, and I have sat in the flesh, in life daily, with both black and white as part of my upbringing and existence. Black people blow their nose, white people blow their nose. Black people use the toilet, white people use the toilet. Black people laugh at this joke, and the white people laugh at the same joke. The color of your skin doesn't add or subtract to your sense of humor, to your likes or preferences, to the way your body functions, to our humanity. There is no difference. None at all. Except how we like to style our hair, and then still not even that anymore. So it's just fruitless. So yes, it's important, I feel, that we make sure everyone knows Black Lives Matter. I agree. I'm all for that. And it's important that people apologize for the way they've treated Black people over the centuries. Yes. It's needed in America. It's needed, especially in America. But we also need to influence in a way that will aim towards the people that are really the ones that are instigating it all. And that's the wealthy. And say, hey, give me my second stimulus check. Hey, let's get the cure for this COVID and all that going. Y'all know y'all sitting on it, so let's do it. I mean, what's the hold up? Really? Seriously? Don't try me, because I already know you got the cure. I done seen it. In my spirit, I seen it. So I know it exists. I see it. Yeah, but it's time to do this. They're just playing you. They've been playing you for a long time. They've been playing you for decades. And we have forgotten, because we have kind of gotten lazy, how to really influence. Our real power, for one, comes from the Spirit of God. And that's through prayer. And joyfully being a joyful prophet, standing in prophetic joy, You know, when the slaves were out in the field, they would sing. One reason they sang is because it increased their stamina and strength when they were working out there in those long hours under the sun. But the other reason was because it elevated their spirit of joy. And when it elevated the spirit of joy, it became an armor of protection around them. When you take that armor of protection that joy brings, the delight, which is the Holy Spirit of God, that if you can sit there and sing in the presence of your enemy, sing and praise God in the presence of oppression, celebrate and have joy in your spirit, no matter what is happening on the outside, death is lurking around the corner, and you are full of joy, not anger or retribution and vengeance, but joy. That is the power of influence. That is the power of God that brings revolutionary change, restoration, healing, peace, and influence of God's will in your surroundings, in your life. That's why they would follow that North Star to freedom. All right, well, I love y'all. That's just my little bit. It's 30 minutes past, so I'm going to let y'all go. Y'all have a blessed and God-filled night. Talk to you soon.